and welcome to the Linc Sports Show. My name is Kieran Hymas and joining me in the studio tonight are Linc Sport reporters Daniel Kahn and Liam Gibbs. We'll start with Lincoln City. The Imps followed up their draw against Eastleigh last weekend with a convincing 2-0 win over Boreham Wood at Sincil Bank on Tuesday. Boreham Wood came out strong with Angelo Balanta causing the Imps problems throughout the game. It seemed to go from bad to worse for Lincoln as Beevers went down in the box and then had to be taken off the pitch on a stretcher. However, a late first half goal from Nathan Arnold gave City a 1-0 lead heading into the break, slotting home from Matt Reed's header. Lincoln came out with a lot of confidence in the second half, with Harry Anderson being a whisker away from the goal and Theo Robinson also coming close. Sean Raggett's headed effort was later denied by a great save from Boreham Wood keeper Grant Smith. The Imps managed to seal all 3 points towards the end of the second half when top scorer Reed's deflected effort looped over Smith with 17 minutes remaining. The win leaves Danny Cowley's side in third position in the National League, while they condemned Boreham Wood to their first league defeat in 4 games. City defender Beevers suffered a serious injury during the first half, and due to having been stretchered off, Cowley believes that it may be a serious injury.
Lee's recovering well. Obviously he's ruptured his patella tendon, which is a serious injury. So yeah, complete rupture of the patella tendon and a little bit of damage to the joint capsule as well. Really appreciative of the NHS and Lincoln Hospital, who looked after him really well. We stayed with him Wednesday morning to about 3:30. He then was operated at around 8 o'clock on Wednesday morning, so really good turnaround in that respect. It's a serious injury. He's a strong man, though, Lee, and he was in good spirits when we left him late last night. And I know a few of the boys went in and saw him yesterday, which was great of them. It shows you how together the group are. And no, we're now going to give him a little bit of time off. He's in a cast. Hopefully, we're just waiting to find out. But hopefully, he's going to be sent home at some point today, and then he'll be able to rest up at home. And once he's a bit more mobile, we'll get him in the dugout and get using some of that experience. But no, it's a serious injury. But as I said, he's a strong man physically and mentally, and I have no doubt he'll come back bigger and better as a consequence.
So Dan, you were at the game. What did you think of the performance?
I was at the game, and Cowley was aware before the game that it would be a counter-pressing side, which was City, against a counter-attacking team, which was Boreham Wood. And to condemn them to their first away loss in the National League was absolutely fantastic. I thought they dealt with some ex-QPR players such as Blanta and Andrade very well. I thought the defence performed very well, such as Sean Raggett. Cowley said he was one of the best young defenders in the league last week. I thought, that based on his performance against Boreham Wood, he is one of the best defenders easily in the National League.
I think it's a big result as well for Danny Cowley's side, because having come off the back of 2 0-0 draws at Sincil Bank in the last 2 games, failing to score in front of your own fans in 180 minutes isn't really something that you aspire to. But to get that big 3 points for them keeps the pressure on Dagenham and Redbridge, and Forest Green Rovers above them.
And of course it makes them 7 unbeaten.
Yeah, and they're going into Saturday's game, as we'll probably talk about later, on the back of a good run of form. Haven't conceded at home in a long while as well. It's all starting to look good for the Imps.
I think what worried Cowley, not worried him, but what he'll be thinking about is kind of how they make chances. I think he'll be very happy that Reed made a welcome return scoring. Very good, well taken goal despite the deflection. He'll be looking for Theo Robinson to kind of keep scoring, being a consistent goal scorer on that side, and welcome Harry Anderson, Nathan Arnold chipping in every now and then.
And you mentioned returns. Obviously, Beevers suffered what looks like it's going to be a serious injury. Do you think he can get back by the end of the season?
Well, I think it's absolutely fantastic that the Lincoln City fans have done a crowdfunder for him and his family. I mean, that's a lovely, lovely gesture, and we'll put a link to that in our YouTube video, I'm sure. But, I thought, the way it happened was absolutely, gobsmacking, really, because it almost came out of nowhere, and you saw right away that the players such as Matt Reed kind of went like this, saying he needs to go off right away. So it was quite evident from the players' reaction that it was a serious injury.
And it's a real shame as well, because he's become a really big part of that back four that has kept 4 straight clean sheets at home. He was starting to look a really settled back line, and now it's been disrupted again, and that's a real shame.
And I think, Lincoln City fans, players, followers alike will, this season has been one of appreciation for Lee Beevers. Last year it was a bit, Bradley Wood had just come in, and it was like, wow, this, guy's very, very good. Whereas, Lee Beevers, he was voted man of the match last weekend. And I think, he's only just been given the credit he deserves as well as other players in the side. And so it's just such a shame for him. But hopefully we wish him a speedy recovery, of course.
Most definitely. And do you think that Cowley can dig deep into his squad and replace that miss?
Well, yeah, I think he's going to find out a lot about his squad now. He has got to dig deep, and they've got to come in and replace Beevers. Who's going to come in, we'll soon find out.
Well, I think what you'll find is Bradley Wood will slot back into right back. Alan Powell will probably come back into midfield. Ellie Whitehouse could probably play there as well, though he's probably a bit too attacking minded for him. But I think we'll see Powell return to the side this weekend.
Okay then. And City's Alan Power came on to replace Beevers in the first half and was commended for his performance despite not featuring regularly during the early stages of the season.
Not playing is quite easy to fall off the side if you don't go about your business right, but I've trained hard, kept my head on it, and to be fair, the lads have done well who have been playing, so I had no grudges, nothing to really come back with, so it was what it was.
The Imps have a tendency to dip in form during the second half of the season. However, Power believes that won't be the case this time around.
I think we'll be even better second half of the season. I think the regimes we have in place and the way we train and Gaffer and Nicky's enthusiasm to everything, we won't be allowed to fall off it. Our fitness will be even better again second half of the season, so I think there's still a lot more to come. As the Gaffer said, we're not quite where we want to be yet, so we're still working towards that.
Danny Cowley was also looking ahead to City's next league fixture as they travel to mid-table Chester on Saturday.
It'll be a really tough game for us, and one we're looking forward to. Chester is a really good ground. There's always a good atmosphere there, and as I say, two teams in a good place, so it makes out for a good game.
And so, guys, are you expecting that Lincoln will continue their momentum on Saturday?
I don't see why not. When Chester visited last season, they were decent. They were a decent side. James Allaby, playing as a forward, was did give the Lincoln City defence a few problems. But I just think with Sean Raggett now and Luke Waterfall stepping up in that captaincy role, I don't see the defence having any issues. Cowley, like I said before, will be hoping that his attackers can really start scoring a few more goals. But I think overall, they won't be too worried.
I think it promises to be a really intriguing game as well. Chester unbeaten in 9 in the league. The Imps unbeaten in 7, looking to go the whole month without defeat. I think it's going to be a big test for Danny Cowley's side because it's not an easy place to go, Chester. And I think he'll find out a lot about them in what promises to be an intriguing battle.
And a win will really put pressure on Dagenham and Redbridge. In regional news, Paul Hurst left his position as manager of League 2 side Grimsby Town on Monday, leaving the Mariners looking for a replacement boss. Lincoln City's Danny Cowley was at one point the favourite to take over from Hurst in charge of the Lincolnshire-based side. Dan spoke exclusive to Danny Cowley earlier this week about his position at Lincoln.
Obviously it's such a short-term industry and our strategy is a long-term one, and that's why we're so pleased when we win, because we know when we win and we accumulate points, it gives us time to really implement what we're trying to create. And it's I know there's been talk over the last few days and speculation with regards to the Grimsby role, but we're 100% people, and we're 100% committed to this and fully focused on trying to move this great club forward.
So Dan, did you ever think that there might be a chance that Cowley would leave?
Not after that interview, Kieran. I have to say, he told me that he has big ambitions to manage at the highest level. However, he also said that he has a project here at Lincoln, and I think him and his brother really want to see that through.
Yeah, as you say, 6 months at best into a long-term project at Sinsel Bank to try and get them back into the Football League, and I didn't really see him leaving for Grimsby at this stage.
And it'll be interesting to see who does take that job at Grimsby now. And you can keep an eye out for that full exclusive interview later on in the week on the Linc Sport website. Moving on to Lincoln United now, and the Whites won the Lincolnshire Senior Cup on Tuesday night, beating Stamford by 3-2. So Dan, what do you think is behind this recent run of results?
I just think, I think Liam will know better than me because he's been to more of the games recently, but I think, Lincoln United, I think the worst thing for them that Wilkinson will want to look at is the amount of goals they've conceded. Before Tuesday night, that was 11 goals in 3 games. And even conceding 2 more on Tuesday, I think even Liam will admit that it's not really good enough, is it?
No, it's not. And I think that is the concern. Not that they're conceding goals, but it's the manner in which they're conceding them. They're making some really poor errors at the back, which they've got to stamp out. You look back to the Spennymoor game a couple of weeks ago, 2 individual errors at the back and conceding from a set piece. That would really have disappointed the management team. And the same again on Saturday. There's a couple of sloppy errors in there that led to goals. And I think that'll have to be stamped out by Sam Wilkinson in the coming weeks. But then you look back to Tuesday, and although they conceded 2 goals again, they showed real strength of character to come from behind twice and then go on and win the game and win this piece of silverware. And I think that'll be a massive plus for Sam and his side.
And do you think that the FA Trophy tie might give them an opportunity to extend that run of form?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's never a bad thing to have a good cup run, unless you lose. Of course, any manager will say that. I think, it can be a bad thing for United. I mean, they could even face City, couldn't they, if they go farther?
They could, yeah. I mean, you saw what the FA Cup run did for the profile of the club, and the FA Trophy could do similar, albeit to a slightly lesser extent. Because if they win a couple of games, and they could end up facing a City or a Tranmere Rovers, for example, and it could really put the club back on the map again.
Definitely, that would be fantastic. And in national news, Manchester United boss Jose Mourinho has been charged by the FA following comments he made about referee Anthony Taylor prior to his side's league clash with Liverpool last week. Mourinho claimed it would be difficult for the Manchester-based referee to take charge of the game and that the appointment had put pressure on the official. United progressed to the quarter-finals of the EFL Cup yesterday after Juan Mata's goal handed them a 1-0 win over local rivals Manchester City. The defeat for Pep Guardiola's side means City have now failed to win any of their last 6 matches in all competitions. So it was a good win for United, Dan, but another poor result for City.
It was. United were very good in the second half, not very much so in the first half. However, you have to kind of consider that City did have a weaker side. They had a few youngsters with Mafia at right back, Garcia in midfield, who were both very, very good. So I think if you saw Guardiola's interview after the game, he was very happy with them.
Exactly. And Mourinho, how do you think he would be? Because it was a very strong side for United, wasn't it?
I don't think he'd be very happy, would he? He said in his post-match interview that he wouldn't have, but considering the manner of defeat against Chelsea, he felt like he had to. And based on yesterday, I think he'll be happy, but I think he'll be a bit frustrated he had to do that.
Yeah. And in terms of the comments that he made, do you think that he was in the right?
In terms of the officials, I think you can't say that, can you? Ultimately, maybe he has got a point. Anthony Taylor is, from Altrincham, but he's not a Manchester United fan, nor is he a Liverpool fan, and he's a referee that's just going to go out there and do the job to the best of his ability.
I mean, you could say, that he was trying to take the pressure off his own team, because that was before the Liverpool game, but obviously didn't work, and if he's now suspended for however many games, it's only a hamper to his team, isn't it? So I think he might regret that one.
And we'll just have to wait and see. And to cricket now, and England take on Bangladesh in the second and final test match in Dhaka tomorrow. Captain Alistair Cook has confirmed Zafar Atari will make his debut in place of Surrey teammate Gareth Batty. Stephen Finn will also play instead of the rested Stuart Broad. So Liam, what's your reaction in Ansari's inclusion?
Slightly surprised, but also understanding Alistair Cook's reasoning and the selector's reasoning for playing Ansari. They want to give him experience of Test match cricket before the tour to India in a couple of weeks' time. Slightly surprised that they have left Batty out, given it was Batty's first Test for 11 years or so in Bangladesh. He didn't bowl badly either, picked up a few wickets. But yeah, they're rotating him just to have a look at Ansari and see what he can do.
It's only a 2 series test match. I just don't understand it, honestly. Saying, you're resting players, like Stuart Broad, I just don't understand it.
I think the selectors are looking at bigger things though, aren't they, to be fair?
Yeah, but Bangladesh is an experience. How many times do they tour Bangladesh? If I was a player, I'd be saying, yeah, I want to play. I get, they play India in a few weeks. But I'm sorry, you play the here and now. You don't have a Premier League player saying, oh, we're playing Arsenal in a few weeks, let me just have a rest this weekend, lads. I mean, come on.
Well, it has been known to be happened, hasn't it? Let's be fair, Dan.
Yeah, but if it's a cup, fair enough. If it's against a lower ranked team. But come on, Bangladesh away isn't an easy game, is it?
It's not.
Sorry,
but
not game, but test match.
It's not, but they are a lower ranked team, and I think they are looking ahead to India, thinking that's
But
the
is
real test of the
Ansari
winter.
going to play for England when they come back to England? For their home test matches. Do you
No,
see him
but
playing?
that's about playing to the conditions, though, isn't it? Because you've got to play three
But
spinners
play
in
Batty.
Bangladesh.
He's only just come back after his exile of how many years?
But then if they need to play Ansari in India, then they're going to end up drafting him in for his test debut, and I think they would prefer that if they do have to draft him in, they'd prefer to him.
What,
for
to have
him
one
to have
test
had-
match behind him?
It's better than none, isn't it?
Well,
Let's-
we'll have to see, won't we?
well,
I hate to interject the debate, guys, but moving on with a little bit. The bowlers have been rotated. Do you think that this is the time for the batsmen to step up?
I think it is, yeah. I think the top order, maybe not failed, but certainly the top order need to do a little bit better. I think Gary Balance is under a lot of pressure at number 4. I think he's got to get runs in this test. Otherwise, I think his place is going to be severely under threat for India. With Hasif Hamid knocking on the door, they could quite easily put Hamid at the top of the order, move Ben Duckett down to 4. That would give them a bit more innovation in the middle. But I think maybe the concern is that Hamid is a bit too similar to Cook in terms of he's of a defensive mindset. He'll
But
look
it's
not to
better
get
than
out
what
rather
Balance
than-
offers you, doesn't it? I'm sorry to interject, but Balance doesn't offer you much, does he? You say Hamid's a bit too defensive, but if he's defensive, what's Gary Balance?
Well,
he's
no,
almost...
and that's where, yeah,
He's
I
a
think,
snail.
And-
no, honestly.
and that's why he's under so much pressure. I think because
For
he
sure.
just looks as though he got stuck a little bit in the first Test match, and I think he's got to get runs this time round.
And I'm afraid that is everything for tonight's show. Thank you to Dan and Liam for joining me in the studio this evening. Remember, you can keep up to date with us on Twitter at Linc Sport, where you can let us know what you think about the show, as well as all of this week's talking points. We'll be back in a fortnight to discuss both Lincoln City and Lincoln United's upcoming fixtures, as well as the top stories from across the country. Good night.